part. Gosh. So I invite some friends, and the idea is that I want to make grilled cheese sandwiches. The recipe is given there. It says grilled cheese sandwich require two slices, two slices of bread and one slice of cheese. This is what we know as the recipe. So I can translate this recipe into a chemical equation, more or less. So the first ingredient is slices of bread. I need 2. My second ingredient is cheese. I need only 1 slice of cheese to create or to have or to make one grilled sandwich. Okay, so this is going to be my reaction. My reactants are going to be my initial products. My initial products, they're going to be reactants or reagents. Both words are correct. And this, my grilled cheese sandwich, is going to be that product. Now, that's the recipe for one grilled cheese sandwich. Okay? Now, I look in the fridge and I find that I have 40 slices of cheese. Then, inside the bread box, I see that I have 16 slices of bread. Okay? So this is what I have. Remember, I'm going to invite some friends over. Okay? And this is what I have in the fridge. 40 slices of cheese and 16 slices of bread. So my first question says, which of my ingredients is the limited number of sandwiches that I can make? So I'm going to write my equation. How many slices of bread I have?
16.
16. Okay. How many cheese I have? How much?
40.
40. Okay. So how many sandwiches I can make?
8. 8.
8. How do you do that? Dividing.
Putting 2 slices of bread together.
Dividing 16 by the slices of bread gives me 8. Okay. And dividing 40 divided by 1 gives me 40. So the least number that we got of that division was 8. So 8 is the total sandwiches that I can make. So which one is the limiting reactant? Bread or cheese?
Bread.
So bread. No, cheese you can make 40 sandwiches. Okay? The limiting reactant is the one that is going to give you the least number of sandwiches. The least number that you got was 8. Okay? So, what ingredient makes only 8 sandwiches? The bread. Because the bread is only allowing you to have 8 sandwiches, we say that the bread is the limiting reactant. So, which ingredient is going to be my excess reactant?
Cheese.
The cheese is going to be my excess reactant. Okay, now I know which one is my limiting reactant and which one is my excess reactant. The limiting reactant is going to run out first. That means that no waste from the limiting reactant. But what is going to be my leftover from the cheese? What is going to be the leftover from the cheese? So you have to do 8 sandwiches, okay? If you're making 8 sandwiches,
32.
you
32 slices of cheese.
exactly. If you want to make 8 sandwiches, you're gonna need 16 bread and 8 cheese, okay? This is what you're going to be using. So, how do you get the leftover? The leftover is going to be from the 40 cheese given minus the amount that you used. How much you used? You used 8. Okay? So 40 minus 8 gives you 32 cheese are going to be the leftover. So more or less, this analysis that we did here is the one that we're going to be applying in chemical reaction. But instead of bread, you're going to have a hydrochloric acid. Instead of cheese, you're going to have water, for example. Okay? And instead of sandwiches, you're going to have oxygen, for example. Oxygen and no, I don't know, a compound made of hydrogen, oxygen, and whatever else. Okay, so the analysis is going to be very similar. I'm not saying that we're going to do it exactly like this, but it's going to be very similar. Okay, but what do you need to do? You need to do stoichiometry. So let's work with a formula. Let's work with a formula that you are already familiar with. Okay, first, what I have to look at in the chemical reaction. I need to check something. What do I need to check?
If it is
If it's
balanced,
balanced.
It is balanced, okay? It's not balanced, so I need to do the balancing procedure, okay? So I do my procedure. I have 2 hydrogens in the reactant and 2 oxygens in the reactant, and in the product I have 2 hydrogens and only 1 oxygen. So I start by balancing oxygen by placing 2 in front of my water. Now I have 2 oxygen, but that 2 also affects hydrogen, giving me 4 hydrogens. To balance hydrogen, I need to place 2 in front of the hydrogen that I have in the reactant. So now I have 4. Okay? Now my equation is balanced. So you have your equation here. Okay? You have your equation. So let's analyze. What is the maximum amount of water that I can get if I give you 10 moles of hydrogen? Okay, what is the maximum amount of water that I can get if I give you 10 hydrogens?
5.
You can make 5. Are you sure? So, how do we do this? Do you listen my question? It's how much water I can get from 10 moles of water I can get from 10 moles of hydrogen. So my analysis here is from mole to mole. Okay? And because I'm relating these two substances, and I'm telling you, I'm giving you 10 moles of H2, I want to know how many moles of water I'm going to produce. So I begin with my given, and I say 10 moles of hydrogen. Now, if I'm relating moles and moles, what procedure I have to make? Mole
ratio.
mole ratio? Yes, mole ratio. So I say, I start with the given, and now I use the mole ratio. What's the mole ratio? Where do I write H2? Up or down?
Down.
Hmm? So, 2 moles H2, and above, how many moles of water?
1 mole.
How many moles of water?
1 mole.
What number is next to water in the
2 moles.
2 moles. This thing just stopped updating. I hate when this happens. Okay, now it's good. So 2 moles of water. You get rid of moles of hydrogen with moles of hydrogen, and you get how much?
10 moles H2O.
10 moles of H2. Okay? So the analysis of this is that for every 2 hydrogens I get, I'm going to have 2 waters. The relationship or the ratio there is 2, 2. That's the ratio, okay? 2 over 2. If you divide 2 by 2, it's 1. That means that the total product is going to be the same number as the moles given in this reaction, okay? Now, what happens if I give you 10 mole of oxygen? What happens if I give you 10 moles of oxygen? How many moles of water are you going to produce? You start with your given. What's the mole ratio between oxygen and water? How many moles of oxygen and where? Up or down? 1.
Down.
Down. 1 mole O2 over 2 water. So in here, you have 10 and 2, 20 moles. So, what reactant produces less, hydrogen or oxygen?
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen produces less, That means hydrogen is going to be my limiting reactant. The reactant that produces less of a product